WION correspondent Olly Barratt is joining us live from London. Good evening to you, Olly. What is the latest information you can share with us on this developing story?
Well, on those two new arrests that have been made by police, they are a 38-year-old man and a 38-year-old woman who've been arrested in Warrington, which is in the north of England. Now, earlier in the day, local media in Warrington were reporting that the 38-year-old woman had been identifying herself as a previous owner of the lorry that appears to have been involved in this case, but had also been telling local media that she had sold this lorry to a person or a business in Ireland just over a year ago. Now, the 38-year-old man and woman who have been arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to traffic people, but also on suspicion of manslaughter, 39 counts of manslaughter. The driver of the lorry, who was arrested earlier in the week, is still being detained in custody. Police have secured extra time to question the driver, who is being held on suspicion of murder. And in terms of the identities of the 39 people in the back of that lorry, authorities here still saying they believe that they are Chinese nationals, but we're also hearing from one human rights organisation in Vietnam saying that they believe that there may have been at least one Vietnamese national in this lorry who may have sent messages to her family just before her death. Police saying it will take some time to come to formal identifications for the 39 people who lost their lives in this tragedy, but the Chinese authorities insisting that Britain needs to, in their words, accept responsibility for these deaths, partly because of incidents that we have seen of this type before here in the UK.
And Olly, what can we expect in terms of timelines for the investigations and those the post-mortems that are currently being conducted on the rest of the victims?
They could well take some time. It's potentially a very difficult operation indeed for the authorities here, and police have been saying ever since this lorry was discovered with these bodies on board that it was going to take some time to work out the formal identification process. Clearly there's the post-mortem stage of that, and then there is trying to work out exactly who these people are and where they have come from and how they ended up in the back of this refrigerated lorry. And as I say, Chinese authorities are insistent that Britain does need to accept responsibility, but also work quickly towards reaching some conclusions here. And in terms of those cases that have been seen on British shores before involving Chinese nationals, back in 2000 there were 58 Chinese citizens who were found dead in a container in Dover, the southern English port of Dover. They had suffocated in the back of that container. We also saw in 2004 the deaths of at least 21 Chinese migrants off the coast of the UK who had been cockle fishing. So this is part of the reason that this particular case is so deeply controversial in China, and why Beijing is so insistent that London does now need to work as quickly as possible to find out exactly what happened here and try and get on top of the problem.
And now this is clearly a gaping hole in the border crossings, and at this time with Brexit becoming such an issue and looming large right now, what can be said to the customs failings here of this lorry passing from Europe to the UK and back again?
Well, in one way, it's a function, really, of the European Union as it currently exists, where in many places there are no border checks at all, and where there are border checks, particularly coming to the UK, at some ports they are often very, very light touch indeed. And for a long time, experts in the trafficking, trade, smuggling, customs have been saying that there are weak points in the system, that some of those major routes into the UK, like Dover, in England and Calais in northern France are really very heavily fortified now. It's very difficult, according to experts, to get through those ports without coming across checks of some sort, and that does mean that criminal gangs have been trying to find weak points in the system. We also know that the cabin part of this lorry came into the UK at the weekend via Holyhead. Now that is in Wales, the other side of the country really, from where the container came into the UK from Zeebrugge in Belgium. And Holyhead has for some time been identified as a potential weak point in the system, partly because it is where a lot of ferries come over from the island of Ireland, which itself has been identified for some time as well as a weak point in the European Union's area, really, the weak point in the European Union's jurisdiction when it comes to customs and so forth. So clearly this case is going to mean that people take another look at all of this, but it would cost billions and billions of dollars to be completely securing every single port and checking every single vehicle that comes in and out of the UK on a daily basis. There is huge amounts of cross-ferry trade, vehicles crossing every single day, thousands of cars and vans and lorries, people and goods. So it's never going to be 100% secure, but clearly some of these weak points are going to have to be identified and worked on.
Right. Thank you for that report. That is our WION correspondent Olly Barratt joining us live from London.